Minister of Adi Dravida Department is welcoming the Lady Governor with the bouquet. The Honorable Minister of Adi Dravida Welfare Department is receiving the Honorable Governor with the book. In the presence of the respected Chief Secretary, Government of Tamil Nadu. Within a short while from now, the most momentous moment and the most expected moment, the unveiling of the statue of the Father of the Constitution. The Honorable Governor will now unveil the statue of Dr. B.R. Ambedkar in the presence of the Honorable Minister of State for Ministry of Information and Broadcasting, Ministry of Fisheries, Animal Husbandry and Dairying, Honorable Minister of Adi Dravida Welfare Department, Government of Tamil Nadu, respected Chief Secretary, Government of Tamil Nadu and other dignitaries. Dr. Ambedkar taught us to fight fearlessly against all forms of oppression. He led the Indian society towards the path of progress and inclusivity, and now, more than ever, we must ensure that his teachings are followed by all. Thank you, sir. The Honorable Governor, the Chief Guest and other dignitaries will now pay floral tributes to the portrait of the Father of the Constitution, the Architect of the Constitution. The historic soil of Raj Bhavan has set up the statues of various leaders whose selfless supreme sacrifices must be remembered forever. Ladies and gentlemen, the Honorable Governor is paying floral tributes to the portrait of Dr. B.R. Ambedkar. Lady Governor is paying her floral tributes to the Father of the Constitution. The Chief Guest, Honorable Minister of State for Ministry of Information and Broadcasting, is paying his floral tributes. The Minister of Adi Dravida and Welfare Department, Government of Tamil Nadu, is paying her floral tributes. Respected Chief Secretary is paying his floral tributes. The Principal Secretary to the Honorable Governor is paying his floral tributes to the Architect of the Indian Constitution. Sir? Other dignitaries are paying their floral tributes. A most memorable day where we have to remember the supreme sacrifices, the supreme contribution of great leaders, and those are the exact roots which are holding this Bharat, the land of great treasure, firm. And it has to be passed to the next generation. That's why Raj Bhavan has been very keen in inviting students so that this rich legacy is passed to those generations, and they will be able to appreciate the rich tradition of Bharat in the true spirit. The Honorable Principal Secretary is introducing the sculpture Thiru Nagappa to Honorable Governor, Lady Governor, the Chief Guest and other dignitaries. This day has to be remembered forever. That's why we are keeping it memorable by framing it. Now, group photograph time. Kishore J. Nagappa, the sculptor of the Indian Constitution, along with the sponsors R.K. Gandhi, President Mamanar Undiya Veeran Desiya Trust, members Thiru Venugopal and Thiru Ramachandran are taking group photographs with the Honorable Governor, Lady Governor. The Chief Guest, other dignitaries, the Principal Secretary is also present among them. Respected Vice Chancellors of various universities and the student orators of the day are taking group photograph with the Honorable Governor, the Chief Guest and other dignitaries. A very memorable day which will be etched in their history. This doesn't happen often. Great things happen only once and we have to treasure it. The student participants will now take group photograph with the Honorable Governor, Lady Governor, Chief Guest and other dignitaries. Student participants, the most cherished treasure by our Honorable Governor, who always believes that students can do wonders, they can become the change, and they have been part of every event of Raj Bhavan because they are going to be the framers of tomorrow nation. And the meticulous care which Raj Bhavan, on the guidance of Honorable Governor, has taken has always transferred great knowledge to these students. And today we have student participants from various universities taking a group photograph with the Honorable Governor, Lady Governor, Chief Guest and other dignitaries. We thank the Honorable Governor, Lady Governor, Chief Guest, Honorable Minister, respected Chief Secretary and other dignitaries for unveiling the statue, for paying floral tributes and taking group photograph with the students and other dignitaries. Just repeating the golden moments of the day, where we witnessed the unveiling of the statue of the architect of our Indian Constitution, the floral tributes paid by the Honorable Governor, Chief Guest, and other dignitaries, followed by the most memorable moment, the group photograph, which will remain forever in the memory, speaking about the day, reminiscing about the importance of the great Dr. B.R. Ambedkar.
Just personal time. Personal time. Not good. Photograph. David. Very photograph.
Ladies and gentlemen, we extend a hearty welcome to the Honorable Governor, to our Chief Guest of the day, Honorable Minister of State for Ministry of Information and Broadcasting, Ministry of Fisheries, Animal Husbandry and Dairy, Honorable Minister of Adi Dravida Welfare Department, Government of Tamil Nadu, and respected Chief Secretary, Government of Tamil Nadu. National Anthem followed by Tamil Nadu.
जनगण मन अधिनायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता पंजाब सिंध गुजरात मराठा द्राविड उत्कल गंगा विंध्य हिमाचल यमुना गंगा उच्चल जलधि तरंगा तव शुभ नामे जागे तव शुभ आशीष मागे गाहे तव जय गाथा जन गण मंगलदायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता जय हे जय हे जय हे जय 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 हे நீராறும் கடலுடுத்த நிலமடங்கள் எதிரொழுகும் சீராறும் பகலமென திகழ் பரல கண்டவிட்டு தெற்கனமும் சிறந்த திராவிடனும் திருநாடும் தக்க சிறு பிறனுடலும் தரிசனரும் திலனமுமே அத்திலக வாசனை போல் அனைத்துலகும் இன்பமுற எத்திசையும் புகழ் மணக்க இருந்த பெரும் தமிழனகே தமிழனகே உன் சீரிழமை திறமியந்து செயமறந்து வாழ்த்துதுமே வாழ்த்துதுமே வாழ்த்துதுமே.
We now request the Principal Secretary to the Honorable Governor to welcome the gathering.
Honorable Governor of the Dignity of the Dais, அனைவருக்கும் இந்த மாலை வணக்கம். அனைவருக்கும் காலை வணக்கம். இந்தியாவின் முதல் சட்ட அமைச்சராகவும் இந்திய அரசியல் சாசனத்தின் தந்தையாகவும் விளங்கும் பாரத ரத்னா டாக்டர் பீம்ராவ் ராம்ஜி அம்பேத்கர் அவர்களின் சிலை திருப்பு விழாவிற்கு வருகை தந்த உள்ள அனைவரும் அலுவலர் சார்பாக அலுவலர் மாளிகை சார்பாக வரவேற்பதில் மிகவும் மகிழ்ச்சி அடைகிறேன். It gives me immense pleasure to welcome all of you on this great and historic occasion of unveiling statue of Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar, the father of Indian Constitution and the first Law and Justice Minister of India. When Honorable Governor took over as the Governor of Tamil Nadu, he asked me that whether there are so many statues on them, but there is no statue of Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar, so we should have this immediately. The delay is on my part actually. It took some time to arrange it, and today we have this historic occasion. After taking over as Governor, Honorable Governor has started many initiatives. Many of you are aware about it, like the Freedom Fortnight, where 15 days we had the functions here in the same place. Unsung Heroes exhibition was conducted throughout Tamil Nadu, where universities, colleges, and schools conducted the programs and Unsung Heroes of Tamil Nadu. Earlier it was 30, 40, then it is reached, we got almost a list of 180 and it is now more than that it is coming. And that is the person behind this thing is the Honorable Governor. And we had Birsa Munda birth anniversary celebrations where we did this Janjatiya Gaurav Divas celebrations here. We had the advent of Christmas celebrations. We had first conference of Vice Chancellors where state government, state universities as well as the private universities joined together. That was also a historic occasion for Tamil Nadu. And today we are here for this great occasion of unveiling the statue of Bharat Ratna Dr. Baba Saheb Ambedkar. Personally, I feel very proud because I come from Maharashtra. And as a small kid, we grown up listening to the stories and the heroics and so many achievements of Honorable Bharat Ratna Dr. Baba Saheb Ambedkar ji. Thank you so much, Governor sir, for giving this opportunity. Dr. B.R. Ambedkar said, and I quote here, cultivation of mind should be the ultimate aim of human existence. And he did that not only his period, but after now also, not only Maharashtra, not only certain part of India. It is from Andaman Nicobar till Jammu Kashmir, from Gujarat till we can say the eastern coast. Everywhere we are seeing the institutions named after Ambedkar, universities named after him, the airports are named after him. So many things. You take airports, you take research institutions, many things. I don't think any parallel, such parallel example in India like this. The person who has been regarded as the greatest human being, not only in India, outside India also. There is no need for his introduction. Everybody of us know about him. I will just say that Dr. Baba Saheb Ambedkar was not only the father of our Indian Constitution and a politician, but he was a jurist, he was an economist. That was his main degree in college. He did his GSC also, that social reformer, and has inspired many people. I can't say only it is Dalits, it is many downtrodden people. He has given confidence and made them to stand on their feet. Dr. Ambedkar played a pivotal role in diagnosing the ills of caste society and struggled all his life to liberate downtrodden people from social discrimination, economic alienation and political exclusion. He not only stopped there, he has, as a member of the Vice Chancellor's ministry that time, before the independence, he did a lot of reforms for the labor and women. I quote, is one of the quotes, and I quote that I measure the progress of the community by the degree of progress which women have achieved. So, the quote is completed. This is what is our Dr. Baba Saheb Ambedkar. Honorable Prime Minister in 2016, he has recognized services of Dr. Baba Saheb Ambedkar, that he is not only the father of Indian Constitution, but he is the expert who has developed the Central Water Commission, which is how we are calling it, Central Power Commission also, Electricity Commission also, and many such institutions. He has contributed for Honorable Ambedkar has contributed for the acts like Interstate Water Distribution Act and other things also. So there are many things. Today we are going to listen from the students who have done some research on Dr. Baba Saheb Ambedkar. So I would like to add much on that. But it is not that one, it is amazing to see that one person in his lifetime achieved so many things. Coming from such a humble background, as a student, you are told that Dr. Baba Saheb Ambedkar used to stand under the lap of the municipality. There was no electricity, he was not able to afford also. He had many siblings in his house, and he was many times humiliated by the people, we can say higher class people in the villages. he stood below this lab and studied. When he was in London, the librarian has confronted him that he is not taking the lunch break. And then he understood that Baba Ambedkar was not having money to go for lunch. And he started giving some bread or something to the gentleman and then supported him. From such a humble background to such a great man, I think it is amazing career. It is a really historic thing for all of us. And this occasion is not only because of the person behind is the Honorable Governor. He told that we should have this statue here because nobody of this stature is there in India for Baba Ambedkar. And today, thank you so much, sir. You have inaugurated, you have unveiled the statue of Baba Ambedkar. I take this privilege to welcome our Honorable Governor on this occasion. Again, I take this privilege to welcome Honorable Lady Governor, who is always supporting us and blessing us on all our endeavors here. I think the opportunity to welcome Honorable Minister of State for Information, Broadcasting, Government of India. Thank you. I also welcome Honorable Minister for Adidreda Welfare, Government of Tamil Nadu. Thank you, ma'am. I take the opportunity to welcome Mr. Kishore Nagappa, the sculptor who not only did this but many such spectacles. I welcome our Vice Chancellors. Many audiences are there, so it is very difficult to recognize everybody's names. So all the state university Vice Chancellors as well as the private university Vice Chancellors, the representatives from NIR institutions who got a top rank and they got felicitated here. So they are also today present in this historic occasion. Mr. Dev from the Rajiv Gandhi National Institute of Youth Development. Then central government councils and advocates, many celebrities you are here. So members of Madras Bar Association, faculty, staff and students of various universities, schools, all listening guests, print and media, my colleagues from Raj Bhavan. On this occasion, I welcome all of you. Your presence has made this occasion very grand. So thank you very much for blessing this occasion. In the நிகழ்ச்சிக்கு வருகை தந்துள்ள உங்கள் அனைவரும் மீண்டும் ஒரு முறை வருக வருகின்ற வருகிறேன். நன்றி, வணக்கம். Thanks.
Thank you, sir. We now request the Vice Chancellor of Tamil Nadu, Dr. NGR Medical University, to honor the Honorable Governor. Let's have a resounding applause. The Principal Secretary to the Honorable Governor will now honor our Chief Guest, Honorable Minister of State for Information and Broadcasting, Fisheries and the Husbandry and Dairy, Government of India. The Principal Secretary to the Honorable Governor will now honor the Minister of Adidravida Welfare Department, Government of Tamil Nadu. The Principal Secretary to the Honorable Governor will now honor the respected Chief Secretary, Government of Tamil Nadu. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. Now, a quick throwback on the greatness, on the life of Dr. B.R. Ambedkar and AV, which is prepared by the Public Relations Department of Raj Bhavan.
ஏப்ரல் காட்டியதையும் காட்டமாக எடுத்து மனித வாழ்க்கையில் மாற்றங்களை கொண்டு வந்தவர் அம்பேத்கர் அவர்கள். உலகின் சிறந்த கல்வியாளர், சிறந்த சட்ட மேதை, பொருளாதார வல்லுநர், இந்தியாவிலேயே 50,000 நூல்கள் கொண்ட நூலகத்திற்கு சொந்தக்காரர், உலகிலேயே டாக்டர் ஆஃப் ஆல் சயின்ஸ் பட்டத்தை லண்டன் ஸ்கூல் ஆஃப் எக்கனாமிக்ஸில் பெற்ற ஒரே நபர். கில்டன் யங் ஆணையத்திடம் அம்பேத்கர் கூறிய கருத்துக்களின் அடிப்படையில் 1934ஆம் ஆண்டு இந்திய ரிசர்வ் வங்கி தோற்றுவிக்கப்பட்டது. 64 பாடங்களில் முதுகலை பட்டங்கள் பெற்றவர். கொலம்பியா பல்கலைக்கழகம் 2004இல் வெளியிட்ட உலகின் 100 மாபெரும் அறிஞர்கள் பட்டியலில் அண்ணல் அம்பேத்கர் பெயர் இடம்பெற்றுள்ளது. லண்டன் ஸ்கூல் ஆஃப் காமர்ஸில் 8 ஆண்டு படிப்பை 2 ஆண்டு 30 நாட்களில் முடித்த வல்லமை. அதனால்தான் லண்டன் நூலகத்தில் கார்ல் மார்க்சுக்கு இணையாக அம்பேத்கருக்கு சிலை வைக்கப்பட்டுள்ளது. இந்திய மாணவர் ஒருவர் வெளிநாட்டில் பொருளாதாரத்தில் டாக்டர் பட்டம் பெற்றது இவர்தான். 9 மொழிகள் பெற்றவர் என அனைத்து தளங்களிலும் தடம் பதித்து திறம்பட செயல் புரிந்து மனித குலத்திற்கு நல்வழி காட்டியவர்தான் அண்ணல் அம்பேத்கர். அடக்குமுறைகளை எதிர்த்து அனைத்து மக்களும் சமம் என குரல் கொடுத்து உழைக்கும் மக்களுக்கு உயர்வதற்கு வழி கொடுத்து மங்கையருக்கும் ஏனையோருக்கும் உதவிடும் வகையில் பல்வேறு சட்டங்களை கற்பித்து நம்மையெல்லாம் செம்மையாய் வாழ வழிவகுத்த புரட்சியாளர் அம்பேத்கர் அவர்களை வணங்கி புகழ் பாடுவோம்.
So far as the ultimate goal is concerned, I think none of us need have any apprehension. None of us need have any doubt. But my fear, which I must express clearly, is this. Our difficulty, as I said, is not about the ultimate future. Our difficulty is how to make the heterogeneous mess that we have today take a decision in common and march in a cooperative way on that road which is bound to lead us to unity. Our difficulty is not with regard to the ultimate. Our difficulty is with regard to the beginning. Mr. Chairman, therefore, I should have thought that in order to make us calm, in order to induce every party, every section in this country, it would be the act of greatest statesmanship for the majority party even to make a concession to the prejudices of people who are not prepared to march together. It is for that I propose to make this appeal. Let us leave aside slogans. Let us leave aside words which frighten people. Let us even make concession to the prejudices of our opponents. Bring them in so that they may willingly join with us on marching upon that road, which, as I said, if we walk long enough, must necessarily lead us to unity. And if I therefore, from this place, support Dr. Jacob's amendment, it is because I want all of us to realize that whether we are right or wrong, whether the position that we take is concerns with our legal rights, whether that accords with the statement of May 16th or December 16th, leave all that aside. This is too big a question to be reduced to the position of mere legality. It is not a legal question. I say leave aside all these considerations and make some attempt whereby those who are not prepared to come will come. Let us make it possible for them to come. That is my. In the course of the debate, that took place, there were two questions which were raised, which struck me so well that I took the trouble of taking them down on a note paper.
Thank you so much. That was an inspiring educational proclamation by the Public Relations Department of Raj Bhavan. Now we have the student orators from various universities who will deliver their thoughts on Dr. Ambedkar's role in society. First we have Ms. Satya Bharati, a student of Tamil Nadu Dr. MGR Medical University, who will deliver a speech in English.
Good morning to our Honorable Governor of Tamil Nadu, Honorable Minister of State, and Honorable Adi Dravida Welfare, and the Chief Secretary, and one and all present here. The importance of Bhimrao Ramji Ambedkar in the Indian policy cannot be overstated. He is an economist, educationalist, and the chief architect of the Indian Constitution. He starts from the humble beginning and became the greatest leader in India. He fought all his life to remove the discrimination, degradation, and deprivation from the society. We all know that he was born on April 14, 1981 in the Madhya Pradesh. I want to be unique, yes. In my speech, I want to share some of his achievements which made us to think that he is unique. First, we can start with his degree. He is the first Indian to pursue a doctorate degree in economics in abroad. Also, a double doctorate degree holder in economics in the South Asia. And also, he is the highest educated person in India during his generation. During the Columbia University for 3 years, he conducted a course of 29 courses in economics, 11 in history, 6 in sociology, 5 in philosophy, 4 in anthropology, 3 in politics, and 1 each in the elementary French and German. Do you know that Ambedkar played a key role in establishment of Reserve Bank of India in 1935? Yes, the Reserve Bank of India as conceptualized according to the guidance presented by the Ambedkars in the Hilton Commission of India. It was also known as the Royal Commission of Indian Currency and Finance. In his book, The Problem of the Rupee, its origin and the solution, Ambedkar also knows the problem of the rupee is eventually linked to the problem of the domestic inflation. In his course, he has mentioned that the problem of the rupee is stabilized only if the purchasing power to be stabilized. Also, the important achievement is Mahat Satyagraha of 1927. Yes, Mahat Satyagraha of 1927 was an important crusade in political action and thought for the Ambedkar. It was held for the 3 years prior to the Gandhi's Dandi March. While salt was the center of Gandhiji's campaign, drinking water was the center of campaign for the Ambedkar crusade. It was held in the small town of Mahar in Maharashtra, leading a group of Dalit people to drink the water in the Chavadar Lake. He also said in his quotes, "We are not going to the Chavadar Lake not just to drink the water, and also we are assert the rights of the Dalits, and they are also the human beings like others." And also one of the important achievements which was still useful for our generation is the working hours. He has changed the working hours from the 14 hours to 8 hours. Yes, it was very useful till now for the future generation also. Yes. Then, in the period of the 1942 to 1946, as a member of the Viceroy Council, he's changed the working hours from the 14 to the 8 hours. And also he has introduced many and several measures for the laborers. Likewise, the adherence allowance, equal pay for the equal work, insurance, pay slips, and medical insurances, leaves, and etc. Many things were useful, which was done by him till date. This is a major achievement which was still used and will be benefited by the till date. And one more thing is, the Ambedkar was fought 3 years to get the comprehensive bill code, which was passed by, and give the importance of the women's rights. and women rights. Yes, the Ambedkar resigned his first Law Minister of post because the government in the parliament which dropped out the Comprehensive Bill Code of India. It has two main purposes. First, it has the equal and healthy status for the Hindu women in the society. And one more thing is deprivation and degradation in the equality in the society. And some of the main keys of the bills were the women who have got divorced or widows have the rights to have the remarried. Polygamy is outlawed. Both the women and men have the rights to have the remarried if the marriage was untenable. And the adoption of the girls and also the inequalities in the states were also mentioned. These are all some of the important achievements which was done by him which made us to think that he is unique. So the Ambedkar was unique. Thank you for giving this opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you, Sandhya Bharati. Follows Sandhya Bharati. இந்த சமுதாயத்தில் டாக்டர் அம்பேத்கரின் பங்கு என்ற தலைப்பில் உரையாட வருகிறார் தமிழ்நாடு டாக்டர் அம்பேத்கர் சட்ட பல்கலைக்கழகத்தின் மாணவி அனிதா.
அவையில் கூடியிருக்கும் ஆன்றோருக்கும் சான்றோருக்கும் எம்மை போன்றோருக்கும் எனது முத்தமிழ் முதற்கண் வணக்கத்தை தெரிவித்துக் கொள்கிறேன். பிறப்புக்கும் எல்லா உயிருக்கும் சிறப்பொவ்வா செய்தொழில் வேற்றுமையாம் என எனது பாட்டன் வான்புகள் வள்ளுவரின் வாக்கிற்கேற்ப பிறப்பால் அனைவரும் சமம் என்பதை உலகிற்கு உணர்த்திச் சென்றார். அண்ணல் அம்பேத்கர் அவர்களை குறித்து இந்நாளில் பேசுவதில் சட்டக்கல்லூரி மாணவியாக பெருமிதம் கொள்கிறேன். அண்ணல் அம்பேத்கர் எங்கள் நாட்டில் பிற்படுத்தப்பட்டோரின் பிரதிநிதி மட்டுமல்ல, பொருளாதார அறிஞராய், பேராசிரியராய், பத்திரிகையாளராய், பெண் கல்வி பெற்று தந்தவராய், சட்டம் இயற்றியவராய், சமூக ஆர்வலராய், தொழிலாளர் நலன் காவலராய், இவை எல்லாவற்றிற்கும் மேலாய் இந்திய அரசியலமைப்பின் தந்தையாய் இவர் இந்நாட்டிற்கு ஆற்றிய கடமைகள் எண்ணில் அடங்காதவை. இவைகளை புத்தகப்பை சுமந்ததன் மூலம் மட்டும் பெற்றுக் கொடுக்கவில்லை, உடன் கோணிப்பையையும் சுமந்ததினால் பெற்றுக் கொடுத்தார். பள்ளியில் தனக்கு தீட்டுப்படாமல் தண்ணீர் ஊற்றியவர்களுக்கு பாடம் புகட்டுவதற்காக பள்ளியிலேயே முதல் வகுப்பில் தேர்ச்சி பெற்றார். 14 மணி நேரமும் புத்தகங்களுடன் நேரம் செலவிட்டதன் பயனாய் அமெரிக்கா சென்று மேற்படிப்பை தொடர்ந்தார். பரோடா மன்னரின் உதவித்தொகை திடீரென நிறுத்தப்பட்ட போதிலும், புத்தகங்களை விற்று உணவு உண்ணும் நிலை வந்த போதிலும் பட்ட படிப்பை தொடர்ந்து பாரிஸ்டராக வலம் வந்தார். திறமைகளையும் தகுதிகளையும் பெற்றிருந்த போதும் சமூகத்தில் சாதியின் பெயரால் புறக்கணிக்கப்பட்டார். கல்வி மூலம் மட்டுமே சமூக ஏற்றத்தாழ்வுகளை களைய முடியும் என்பதை ஆணித்தரமாக நம்பியும் செயலாற்றியும் வந்தார். இவர் இயற்றிய பொருளாதார நூலினை அடிப்படையாக கொண்டுதான் இன்றைய இந்திய ரிசர்வ் வங்கி அமைந்துள்ளது. வழக்கறிஞராக, எழுத்தாளராக இவர் ஆற்றிய பணிகளோ ஏராளம். இவர் இந்தியாவிற்கு 2010ஆம் ஆண்டு அமெரிக்க முன்னாள் ஜனாதிபதி திரு ஒபாமா அவர்கள் வருகிறார். அவர் நாடாளுமன்றத்தில் அண்ணல் அம்பேத்கர் குறித்த செயல்பாடுகளை வியந்து போற்றி அவர் கொண்டிருந்த உத்வேகம் நாம் ஒவ்வொருவரும் பெற வேண்டும் என தனது உரையில் குறிப்பிட்டிருந்தார். உலகிலேயே அதிக எண்ணிக்கையிலான சிலைகளை கொண்ட 2வது பெரிய தலைவர் எங்கள் நாட்டின் அண்ணல் அம்பேத்கர் ஆவார். எந்த பள்ளியில் இவர் தீண்டாமை கொடுமைக்கு உள்ளானாரோ, இன்று அதே பள்ளியின் பாட புத்தகத்தில் முதல் பக்கத்தில் தீண்டாமை ஒரு பாவ செயல், தீண்டாமை ஒரு பெருங்குற்றம், தீண்டாமை ஒரு மனிதநேயமற்ற செயல் என்று எழுதுவதற்கு காரணமாக அமைந்தார். நிறத்தினாலும் பாலினத்தாலும் சமூகத்தில் ஜாதியினாலும் ஒருவர் புறக்கப்படுதல் கூடாது என்பதற்காகவும், ஜாதியின் அடிப்படையில் புறக்கணிக்கப்பட்டவர்களின் அடையாளத்தை மாற்றி அமைப்பதற்காகவும் மிகுந்த விலை கொடுத்த இவருக்கு இவர் இயற்றிய அரசியலமைப்பு சரத்து 15 படி சட்டத்தின் முன் அனைவரும் சமம் என்பதை இந்நாளில் உறுதியேற்று கடைபிடித்து பின்பற்றுவோம். அண்ணல் அம்பேத்கர் அவர்களை பெருமைப்படுத்துவோம் என சட்டக்கல்லூரி மாணவியாக, நாளைய வழக்கறிஞராக எனது வேண்டுகோளை முன்வைத்து அண்ணல் அம்பேத்கர் அவர்களை பெருமைப்படுத்துவோம் என கூறி எனக்கு பேச வாய்ப்பளித்தமைக்கு நன்றி கூறி விடைபெறுகிறேன். நன்றி.
We call upon Ani from Tamil Nadu Dr. MGR Medical University, who will deliver her thoughts on Dr. Ambedkar's role in society in English.
Good morning to our Honorable Governor of Tamil Nadu, Honorable Union Minister of State for Information and Broadcasting, Honorable Minister of Adi Dravida Welfare, Honorable Chief Secretary of Tamil Nadu Government, distinguished dignitaries, and my dear audience. When we, as a freedom fighter, as a father of the Indian Constitution, as a leader of the downtrodden, but I feel like using these titles, either exclusively or even altogether, limits this great personality. He was not just the leader of the Dalits, but he is a leader of the people, and there is no class, race, religion or gender for whose rights he did not speak up for. If you notice, I have used the word is rather than was, as his views and visions are relevant even to this day. From the life and achievements of Dr. Ambedkar, the main lesson that I have learned is that comprehending history is what will give us the strength to forge our future. In this sense, when we look at our country's history, Dr. Ambedkar's life forms an integral part of it. We can see how he questioned and criticized the history before him and fought to forge a future not only for himself but for an entire nation to follow. The Constitution of India as a supreme law was introduced by Dr. Ambedkar on November 26, 1949. 73 years later, we are still celebrating not only the Constitution but also recognizing Dr. Ambedkar as the father of the Indian Constitution. It is important not only to learn about history but to also learn about those who helped create it. A unique thinker from the 20th century who was unapologetic in his ways and stood firm in his beliefs. He was not just a leader, but he was a revolutionary and identified himself as a rebel. A speech that he had prepared for an anti-caste meeting was termed unbearable by the conference organizers, and his invitation was revoked. Although his speech went undelivered, he went on to publish that exact content in his book, Annihilation of Caste, challenging not just those organizers, but also generations of old beliefs that were deeply rooted in the Indian society. While the Constitution of India is his political legacy, this book can be no mercy. When parts of the world were fighting against economic subjugation and the rest of India was fighting against political depression, one of the very few people to identify a mix of the two in caste-based discrimination and also lay a foundation to abolish it in India was Baba Sahib Ambedkar. He realized that true freedom means freedom in all senses, economical, political and also social. He insisted that the foundation for freedom starts with the freedom for the people who are in the lowest chain. When Mahatma Gandhi and other great leaders were fighting for our freedom from British invaders, he was fighting to free us from Indian castes. Although it seemed like both of them were fighting for different causes, they were common in more ways than one. They were both fighting for our freedom, and both of them had a train journey that changed their lives forever. Dr. Ambedkar was one of the greatest intellectuals that India has ever seen. He was aware of the thin line between revolution and reformation, and so was able to propose that we should move towards a people's government. Although he proposed change, he also showed us that the solution may not be found in the rewriting of history alone, but rather by creating a more meaningful dialogue with the past. If he was alive today, Dr. Ambedkar would be a new age thinker with ideas and vision for a new India. He said, "Men are mortal, so are ideas. An idea needs propagation as much as a plant needs watering. Otherwise, both will wither and die. Let us take it upon ourselves to become the Ambedkars of today. Let us take an effort to learn our history, be aware of our presence, and build a better tomorrow." Thank you for giving me this opportunity to speak. Thank you.
We call upon Ms. Sandhya, Ms. Anita, and Ms. Ani, who will now be. I think we can have great applause because young minds need to be motivated because they are the shapers and framers of our nation tomorrow. The proud Vice Chancellors are sitting here and they have transferred this knowledge, and I'm sure And I'm sure such thoughts will definitely take India to greater heights. The orators are felicitated with a certificate and a memento by the Honorable Governor. Ms. Sandhya will now be felicitated by the Honorable Governor with a certificate and a memento. We need more resounding applause and appreciation. They are your children, they are your knowledge, they are your precious treasures. We have now Ms. Anita being felicitated by the Honorable Governor with a certificate and a memento. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. Now the time to honor and felicitate the sculptor of the great Indian Constitution. We request the Honorable Governor to felicitate Thiru Kishore J. Nagappa, the sculptor of Dr. Ambedkar's statue. Great applause. And he is also the creator of most of the statues here in Raj Bhavan. And he has also sculpted many statues of great leaders, making us to reminiscence their greatness. So thank you, sir. He is being given a memento and honored with the shawl. The Honorable Governor will now felicitate Thiru R.K. Gandhi, President Mamanar Ondi Veeran Desiya Trust, Thiru B. Venugopal, Secretary Mamanar Ondi Veeran Desiya Trust, and Thiru B. Ramachandran, Treasurer Mamanar Ondi Veeran Desiya Trust, who are the sponsors of this great statue, which has been unveiled by the Honorable Governor in the presence of dignitaries just a short while before. I think that we have to, recognition and appreciation is definitely required for an artist, and that is the good for them. Your appreciation, your recognition will carry them to greater heights. Thank you, sir. Thiru B. Venugopal is now being felicitated by the Honorable Governor with a shawl. He is the Secretary of Mamanar Ondi Veeran Desiya Trust. Thank you, sir. Thiru B. Ramachandran, Treasurer, Mamanar Ondi Veeran Desiya Trust, will now be felicitated by the Honorable Governor. Applause. Something which is costless, something which is priceless, and something which is more valuable is great applause. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. We now have a group photograph.
தமிழகத்தினுடைய மாண்புமிகு மேதகு ஆளுநர் திரு R.N. ரவிஜி அவர்களே, மரியாதைக்குரிய மேடம் ஆளுநர் அவர்களே, இந்த நிகழ்ச்சியில பங்கு பெற்றிருக்கின்ற மாண்புமிகு ஆதிதிராவிட நலத்துறையினுடைய அமைச்சர் சகோதரி கைலி அவர்களே, உயர்திரு தமிழக முதன்மை சீஃப் செக்ரட்டரி அவர்களே, கவர்னர் அவர்களுடைய பிரின்சிபல் செக்ரட்டரி அவர்களே, இந்த நிகழ்ச்சியில பங்கு பெற்றிருக்கின்ற துணைவேந்தர்களே, வழக்கறிஞர்களே, மத்திய அரசாங்கத்தினுடைய வழக்கறிஞர்கள், மாநில அரசாங்கத்தினுடைய வழக்கறிஞர்கள், இந்த நிகழ்ச்சியில பங்கு பெற்றிருக்கின்ற பெரியவர்களே, தாய்மார்களே, சகோதரர்களே, சகோதரிகளே, மாணவர்களே, மாணவிகளே, ஊடக சகோதரர்கள் உள்ளிட்ட உங்கள் அனைவருக்கும் என்னுடைய அன்பு கலந்த வணக்கத்தை தெரிவித்துக் கொண்டு, இந்த அருமையான ஒரு நாளில் அண்ணல் அம்பேத்கர் அவர்களுக்கு நம்மளுடைய மாண்புமிகு கவர்னர் அவர்களுடைய முயற்சியால் இன்றைக்கு இந்த அம்பேத்கர் அவர்களுடைய சிலையானது இங்கு நிறுவப்பட்டிருக்கிறது. இது ஒரு சாதாரண விஷயம் அல்ல, இது ஒரு வரலாறு. நாம் 75வது சுதந்திர இந்தியாவை கொண்டாடிக் கொண்டிருக்கின்றோம். ஆனால் அம்பேத்கர் அவர்கள் எப்படி நியாயத்திற்காக போராடினார்களோ, அம்பேத்கருக்கே நியாயத்திற்காக போராட, அவருக்கு ரெகக்னேஷன் கிடைப்பதற்கு ஒரு நியாயத்திற்காக போராட வேண்டிய காலம், அந்த காலம் இன்றைக்கு நம்முடைய மாண்புமிகு ஆளுநர் அவர்களால் நிறைவேற்றப்பட்டிருக்கிறது. இந்த ராஜ்பவன்ல டாக்டர் அம்பேத்கர் அவர்களுக்கு ஒரு மிகப்பெரிய ஒரு சிலையை நிறுவியிருக்கிறார்கள். அவருக்கு தமிழக மக்கள் சார்பில் என்னுடைய மனமார்ந்த வாழ்த்துக்களையும் பாராட்டுகளையும் தெரிவித்துக் கொண்டு, அண்ணல் அம்பேத்கர் அவர்கள், ஏன்னா அவரை பத்தி வரலாறு நமக்கு பெரிய அளவுல எல்லாருக்கும் தெரியும். இப்போ நம்மளுடைய மாணவிகள் ரொம்ப சிறப்பாக அண்ணல் அம்பேத்கர் அவருடைய பங்களிப்பு, 2 மருத்துவ மாணவிகள், ஒரு சட்டக்கல்லூரி மாணவி, அவர்கள் ரொம்ப தெளிவாக எடுத்து சொன்னார்கள். ஆனால் அம்பேத்கர் அவர்கள் இன்றைக்கு இந்திய நாட்டினுடைய இந்திய அரசியலமைப்பு சட்டத்தை நிறுவியவர் என்பது நாம் அனைவருக்கும் தெரியும். ஆனால் அம்பேத்கர் அவர்களுடைய இந்த அரசியலமைப்பு சட்டம் தன்னுடைய புனித நூலாக போற்றி நம்முடைய பிரதமர் அவர்கள் எனக்கு எந்த நூல் புனித நூல்னா நம்முடைய டாக்டர் அம்பேத்கர் அவர்கள் இயற்றிய இந்திய அரசியலமைப்பு சட்டம் என்னுடைய புனித நூல் என்று தன்னுடைய பதவியை ஏற்றுக்கொண்ட நம்முடைய பிரதமர் அவர்கள், அவர்களுக்கு இந்த நேரத்தில் நாம் கடமைப்பட்டிருக்கோம் நன்றி சொல்வதற்கு. ஏன்னா 2014 முதல் 14க்கு முன்னாடி அண்ணல் அம்பேத்கர் அவர்கள், அதாவது ஒரு சகோதரி நம்ம சொன்னாங்க, உலகிலேயே அதிக அளவுல சிலைகள் இருக்கிற தலைவர் டாக்டர் அம்பேத்கர். ஆனால் 2014க்கு முன்னாடி அம்பேத்கர் அவர்கள் பிறந்த வீடு, அண்ணல் அம்பேத்கர் அவர்கள் ஒரிஜினலாக எந்த இடத்துல பிறந்தார்கள் என்பது இந்த உலகத்திற்கு தெரியாம இருந்தது. அது ஒரு ஆக்கிரமிப்புல இருந்தது. அண்ணல் அம்பேத்கர் அவர்களுடைய 2015 அண்ணல் அம்பேத்கர் அவர்களுடைய 125வது ஆண்டை நம்மளுடைய மத்திய அரசாங்கம் அந்த ஆண்டு முழுவதுமே 25வது பிறந்த தினத்தை நாம் கொண்டாடி இருந்தோம். அந்த நேரத்தில் அண்ணல் அம்பேத்கர் அவர்கள் பிறந்த இடத்தை, அதே போல அண்ணல் அம்பேத்கர் அவர்கள் மறைந்த இடம் டெல்லியில, அது கூட நினைவில்லாமல் இருந்தது, நினைவிடம் இல்லாமல் இருந்தது. ஆனால் அம்பேத்கர் மறைந்த இடம் நம்பர் 24 அலிப்பூர் ரோட்ல டெல்லியில. அந்த இடத்தையும் புனரமைத்து அந்த இடத்துல இன்றைக்கு மிகப்பெரிய ஒரு மெமோரியல் அமைத்து கொடுக்கப்பட்டிருக்கிறது. அதே போல அண்ணல் அம்பேத்கர் அவர்கள் லண்டன்ல படித்த வீடு, அதுவும் ஐடென்டிபிகேஷன் இல்லாம இருந்தது. அண்ணல் அம்பேத்கர் அவர்கள் மும்பையில் இருந்த அந்த லட்சுமி மென்ஸ் என்று சொல்லக்கூடிய அந்த இடம், அண்ணல் அம்பேத்கர் அவர்கள் தீட்சை எடுத்த நாக்பூர், இந்த 5 இடங்களையும் புனித தலங்களாக அறிவித்து ஒரே வருடத்தில் அதையெல்லாம் மேம்படுத்தி இந்த நாட்டிற்கு அர்ப்பணித்த மாபெரும் தலைவர் நம்முடைய பிரதமர் திரு நரேந்திர மோடி அவர்கள் இந்த நாட்டிற்கு அர்ப்பணித்தார்கள். ஒரே வருடத்தில் பாருங்க, 1947 சுதந்திரம் வாங்குறோம், 1950 கான்ஸ்டிடியூஷன்ல கொடுக்கிறோம், நம்மளுடைய குடியரசு வருகிறது. ஆனால் அம்பேத்கர் அவர்கள் எத்தனையோ தலைவர்களுக்கு சிலைகள் இருந்தது, அவர்கள் மெமோரியல் இருந்தது. ஆனால் அம்பேத்கர் அவர்கள் பிறந்த இடம், அவர் வளர்ந்த இடம், அவர்களுடைய நினைவு இடம், அவர் படித்த இடம், அவர் தீட்சா எடுத்த இடங்கள் எல்லாம் நினைவில் இல்லாமல் இருந்தது. அந்த இடத்தை எல்லாம் நினைவுபடுத்தி, அந்த இடத்தை எல்லாம் மேம்படுத்தி, அந்த இடத்தை எல்லாம் அரசு மெமோரியல் ஆக்கி இன்றைக்கு இந்த நாட்டிற்கு ஒப்படைக்கப்பட்டிருக்கிறது என்றால் அது நம்மளுடைய, அவர் எப்படி ஜஸ்டிஸ் வேண்டி, ஈக்குவாலிட்டி வேண்டி போராடினார். ஆனால் அவருக்கு நியாயம் கொடுக்க வேண்டிய சூழ்நிலை தான் நம்மளுடைய இந்திய அரசியல் இருந்தது. அவருக்கும் நியாயத்தை நம்முடைய பிரதமர் கொடுத்திருக்கிறார்கள். அதே போல அண்ணல் அம்பேத்கர் அவர்கள் பொருளாதார நிபுணர் என்று இங்கு சொல்லியிருக்கிறோம். அண்ணல் அம்பேத்கர் அவர்கள் ரிசர்வ் பேங்கினுடைய ஆக்டை கொடுத்திருக்கிறார்கள். நம்ம டிமானிட்டைசேஷன் வந்தது, டிஜிட்டல் பேமெண்ட் நாம் கொண்டு வந்தோம். அந்த டிஜிட்டல் பேமெண்ட் கொண்டு வரும் பொழுது அண்ணல் அம்பேத்கர் அவர்களுடைய பேர்ல பீம் ஆப் என்ற அந்த ஒரு ஆப்பை நிறுவி அந்த ஆப்புக்கு பேரு பீம் ஆப். ஏன்? அண்ணல் அம்பேத்கர் அவர்கள் பொருளாதார மிக சிறந்த தலை சிறந்த பொருளாதார நிபுணர். பொதுவாகவே அம்பேத்கரை எடுத்தா இன்னைக்கு ஒரு வெக்கப்பட வேண்டிய விஷயம், நம்ம வெளியில போனா அம்பேத்கர் சிலைகளுக்கு கவர் போட்டு மூடி வச்சிருக்காங்க. இது நம்ம எல்லாரும் ஒரு தலைமுடிவு செய்ய வேண்டிய ஒரு விஷயம். ஒரு இந்திய நேசத்தினுடைய இந்திய அரசியலமைப்பு சட்டத்தை நிறுவிய தலைவர், ஒரு மிகப்பெரிய பொருளாதார நிறுவனர், ஒரு மிகப்பெரிய நீர்நிலைகளை, அதாவது வாட்டர் சோர்ஸ் வாட்டர் மேனேஜ்மெண்ட்டை பற்றி ஒரு மிகப்பெரிய அளவில் நமக்கு சொல்லிக் கொடுத்தவர், பல விதங்களில் பல பட்டங்களை பெற்றவர், பொலிட்டிக்கல், எக்கனாமிக்ஸ், பிலாசபி, இப்படி பல விதங்களில் பல பட்டங்களை பெற்றவர். அவருடைய சிலைகள் கூட இன்றைக்கு பூட்டப்பட்டு அவருடைய நினைவு நாள், பிறந்த நாள் அன்றைக்கு தான் நாம போய் அவருக்கு திறந்து மாலை போட வேண்டிய சூழ்நிலை இருந்து கொண்டிருக்கிறது. ஏனால் அப்படிப்பட்ட தலைவரை நாம் போற்றுவதற்கு மறந்திருக்கிறோம். அதை போற்றி 2015 நம்மளுடைய போற்றி இன்றைக்கு அவருடைய பெருமையை வெளி உலகத்திற்கு கொண்டு வந்து சேர்த்துக் கொண்டிருக்கின்றோம். அண்ணல் அம்பேத்கர் அவர்கள் இயற்றிய, நான் சொன்னேன், அவர் இந்திய அரசியலமைப்பு சட்டம் புனித நூலாக ஏற்றுக்கொண்டுள்ளப்பட்டது. அந்த 26 நவம்பர் 26 இந்திய அரசியலமைப்பு சட்ட தினமாக இன்றைக்கு நாடு முழுவதும் கடந்த 4 வருடங்களாக நாடு முழுவதும் இந்திய அரசியலமைப்பு தினத்தை நாம் இன்றைக்கு கொண்டாடி கொண்டிருக்கிறோம். அதுக்கு முன்னாடி நவம்பர் 26 ஏதோ ஒரு நாள் அப்படின்றதான் நமக்கு எல்லாம் இருந்தது. அதை மாற்றி அண்ணல் அம்பேத்கர் அவர்களுடைய அந்த இந்திய அரசியலமைப்பு சட்டத்தை அர்ப்பணித்த தினத்தை நாம் இன்றைக்கு நாடு முழுவதும் கொண்டாடி கொண்டிருக்கின்றோம். சகோதரர்களே, ஆனால் அம்பேத்கர் அவர்களுடைய மிக முக்கியமான அவர் என்ன நமக்கு சொல்லியிருந்தார்? கல்வி. கல்வி ஒன்றுதான் ஒரு மிகப்பெரிய மாற்றத்தை ஏற்படுத்தக்கூடும் என்றார். அந்த கல்விதான் இன்றைக்கு மிகப்பெரிய மாற்றத்தையும் ஏற்படுத்தி இருக்கிறது. அந்த கல்வியினால்தான் பல பேர் அண்ணல் அம்பேத்கர் அவர்களுடைய அவர் தொடர்ந்து வலியுறுத்திய அந்த கல்வி இன்றைக்கு அந்த அடித்தட்டு மக்களுடைய வாழ்வுல இன்றைக்கு கல்வியின் மூலமாக அவர்கள் முன்னேறி இருக்கிறார்கள். அதுக்கடுத்தது கல்விக்கு அடுத்தது அடுத்த நிலைமைக்கு வரணும், தொழில்துறையில வளரணும் அப்படின்றதுக்காக தான் நம்மளுடைய மத்திய அரசாங்கத்துல ஸ்டாண்ட் அப் இந்தியா, எப்படி ஸ்டார்ட் அப் இந்தியா கம்பெனிகளை நிர்வகிக்கிறோம். இன்னைக்கு ஸ்டார்ட் அப் இந்தியா உலகிலேயே அதிக அளவுல நம்மளுடைய நாட்டில தான் 80,000 ஸ்டார்ட் அப் கம்பெனிகள் இருக்குது. உலகிலேயே 2வது ஸ்டார்ட் அப் கம்பெனிகள் கொண்ட ஒரு நாடு நம்மளுடைய நாடாக இருக்கிறது. இளைஞர்களை ஊக்குவிக்கும் தொழில் முனைவர்களாக மாற்றுவதற்கான ஸ்டார்ட் அப். அப்படி அந்த ஸ்டார்ட் அப் ஸ்டாண்ட் அப், ஒரு ஸ்டாண்ட் அப் என்பது எதுக்குன்னா ஒவ்வொரு பேங்கினுடைய பிரான்ச்லையும் ஸ்டாண்ட் அப் இந்தியாவுடைய திட்டம் வந்து ஒவ்வொரு பிரான்ச்சும் அந்த பிரான்ச்ல ஒரு பட்டியல் இனத்தினர் இருக்காது அல்லது பட்டியல் எஸ்சி ஆர் எஸ்டி அல்லது விமன் என்டர்பிரனருக்கு கட்டாயம் அவர்கள் லோன் கொடுத்தே ஆக வேண்டும் என்ற அந்த திட்டத்தை ஸ்டாண்ட் அப் இந்தியாவுடைய நாம் நடைமுறைப்படுத்திக் கொண்டிருக்கின்றோம். அரசாங்கம் நடைமுறைப்படுத்திக் கொண்டிருக்கின்றோம். பொருளாதார முன்னேற்றம் வர வேண்டும் என்பதற்காக கல்வி, பொருளாதார மேம்பாடு வரும் பொழுது நம்முடைய அந்த சமநீதி, சமூக நீதி கிடைக்கும் என்பது அம்பேத்கர் அவர்களுடைய கனவு. அந்த அம்பேத்கர் அவர்களுடைய கனவுப்படி இன்றைக்கு அம்பேத்கர் மோடி என்ற ஒரு அருமையான புத்தகத்தை கூட நம்முடைய இசையமைப்பாளர் இளையராஜா அவர்கள் அதுக்கு முன்னுரை எழுதி அந்த புத்தகத்தை கூட நம்முடைய முன்னாள் குடியரசுத் தலைவர் மாண்புமிகு திரு ராம்நாத் கோவிந்த்ஜி அவர்கள் டெல்லியில வெளியிட்டார்கள். பாருங்க, நம்ம ஊர்ல கருத்து சுதந்திரத்தை பத்தி பேசுவோம். எல்லாருக்கும் கருத்து சுதந்திரம் இருக்கிறது. ஆனா ஒரு புஸ்தகத்துக்கு முன்னுரை எழுதினார் என்ற ஒரே காரணத்திற்காக வசை வாங்கியது நம்மளுடைய அந்த இளையராஜா அவர்கள் ஆகத்தான் இருக்கக்கூடும். அவர்கள் எதிர்பார்க்கிற கருத்தை சொன்னால் அவர் நல்லவர். ஆனா அவருக்கு இப்படிதான் உண்மை சொல்லிட்டா அவர் கருத்துக்கு எதிரானவர் அப்படின்ற இது இருக்கிறது. கருத்து சுதந்திரம் பாதுகாக்கப்பட வேண்டும் என்றது நம்மளுடைய அம்பேத்கர் அவர்களுடைய கனவு. அதனால ஆர்டிகல் 19 நமக்கு கருத்து சுதந்திரத்தை நம்மளுடைய அம்பேத்கர் அவர்கள் நமக்கு கொடுத்து சென்றிருக்கிறார்கள். ஃபண்டமெண்டல் ரைட்ஸ், ஃபண்டமெண்டல் டியூட்டிஸ் நமக்கு கொடுத்திருக்கிறார். இன்றைக்கு அப்படிப்பட்ட தலைவரை போற்றும் விதமாக நம்மளுடைய அண்ணல் அம்பேத்கர் அவர்களுக்கு ராஜ்பவன்ல சிலை நிறுவி அதை இன்றைக்கு அர்ப்பணித்திருக்கின்ற நம்மளுடைய மாண்புமிகு ஆளுநர் மரியாதைக்குரிய ஐயா RN ரவி அவர்களுக்கு மீண்டும் ஒரு முறை என்னுடைய மனமார்ந்த இந்த அருமையான நிகழ்ச்சியில உங்களுடன் கலந்து கொண்டதில் மற்றற்ற மகிழ்ச்சி. நன்றி, வணக்கம். ஜெய்ஹிந்த், ஜெய் பாரத்.
Our Honorable Governor has always been keen in transferring the rich knowledge of our nation and the strong roots, which are the selfless sacrifices of many leaders and innumerable unsung heroes to the next generation, so that the value of Bharat will be relished in the true spirit. Now we request the Honorable Governor to address the gathering.
Dr. Minister of State in the Government of India, in Kollywood Cinema Minister in the State Government, Chief Secretary Government of Tamil Nadu, Anand Patil, Principal Secretary to Governor, distinguished invitees, Vice Chancellors, a sculptor who sculpted this beautiful statue of this great person, those who made it possible, the speakers, the three powerful speakers, the students. My dear students, we are all here to commemorate one of the greatest leader of India, one of the greatest maker of India, Dr. Bhimrao. Doctor, we all know he was the architect of our Constitution. We know that he was an intellectual giant. Many people, many leaders of the time, they felt uncomfortable in his presence because by sheer brightness, intellectual brightness of Dr. Ambedkar, they looked smaller. They were not very comfortable. He was one of the speakers said he was a revolutionary leader. And I think that's a very apt description of this great person. He was a revolutionary who brought and attempted to brought and planted the seeds of revolution in various fields of our life. But while pioneering the revolution in various fields, nationalist, he never did anything that could hurt the interest of India at any time to come. We know that he was a great social reformer. He dedicated his life fighting for the rights of the depressed and downtrodden. And by the way, while the depressed and downtrodden, it was not just only our people scheduled caste people. Even the women of India were among the depressed and deprived. He fought for all. He took on the discrimination at every level. One imagines, had he not pioneered, drafted the Hindu Code Bill, which later was adopted, today it would have been difficult for the women to have the right that they have. The speakers before have spoken about it. Is through this comprehensive initiative outlawing polygamy, child marriage, giving equal right to women in every field. The constitutional provision of Article 14 was made possible because of passing this bill. Otherwise, previous to that, it was fragmented to various custom, traditions, various informal and formal laws. It was a very complex and daunting task, but he made it happen. And today, we see the benefit of it. He was many of the facets of this great person is yet to be studied, yet to be explored. Our problem is that we make a person great and we forget at that. We don't look at the work of greatness, his thoughts, his deeds, his philosophy. And those are areas which are yet to be explored adequately. He was a great unifier of this country. We all know that Sardar Patel, how he brought in more than 560 independent countries which were created by the British when they left, because they had an option to be independent. But he brought the physical unity of this country, geographical unity of this country in that. But how did Dr. Ambedkar brought the unity? That area is not yet fully discussed in public domain. You know, when the British had realized when there's some collective consciousness started emerging in this country in the later last decade of the 19th century or the beginning of the 20th century. This collective consciousness, they realized that it was a major threat to the empire, the British Empire in India. And when they experimented first in 1905 by communal partition of Bengal, they created a Muslim Bengal and a Hindu Bengal. The reactions were all over the country. Here in Tamil Nadu, V.O. Chidambaram Pillai was one among them who took to the streets. He said, "That is designed to divide this country on the line of religion." They realized that they tested that collective consciousness of this country was growing to an extent, if it was allowed to grow, that would ensure that the British Empire would not last long. And then they started working how to weaken the collective consciousness, how to weaken this country from within. So They were already patronizing Muslim League, but after when the 1905 they did, later on 6 years later, the protest was so wide that they had to undo it. So the defeat of the British Empire, design of the British Empire to divide this country on the basis of religion, it was a test for them. And then they came whole hog, how to weaken this country from within. And then they started patronizing in multiple ways Muslim League, giving a sick thought that Muslims were different and they could not coexist. And that is how they created a separate electorate for Muslims in our councils. When the Government of India Act 1919 came, they introduced the system of batching. They had in some way even before, but by the time they had consolidated it. They wanted to create a separate electorate. You should realize the meaning of separate. That means those people are different and they will elect their representative, others will not. Now, in the Government of India Act 1919, they had made a provision giving a hope that, okay, this is a beginning, we will review it after 10 years. If necessary, we will devolve more power on the natives in this self-rule or to have a say in the governance. So the next reform was due in 1929. And about 4 years before they constituted the statutory commission, which is called Simon Commission. They were working on now. They had already created. They were building the Muslim League, creating their they had created a separate electorate for them. They started working on, and they began patronizing Jinnah. They began looking for more Jinnahs elsewhere, and then they spotted Dr. Bhimrao that he could be a person who could mobilize, because he was a fearing person. He knew that how atrocious the society was, how downtrodden and depressed people were deprived of their basic human rights. And he was agitated, fiercely, led many movements. So British started promoting him, tried to promote him, and came up with the concept of communal award, that is creating a separate electorate for the depressed and downtrodden. And they started funding. So having created a separate electorate for Muslims and patronizing Jinnah, they started fueling a separate electorate for the depressed and downtrodden. Now, imagine, had the British succeeded, where this country would have been. But when Mahatma Gandhi in Pune jail, he and Dr. Ambedkar they met when they had a long meeting. Madan Mohan Malviya was also present there. He was opposing Mahatma Gandhi, of course, was opposed to this. And there, Dr. Ambedkar saw the British design. And then they said, no, we don't agree to that. Dr. Ambedkar rejected the British move for a communal award, creating a separate electorate. Separate electorate means in a constituency. Today we have a reservation. In that, whichever community a person belongs, everyone elect that person. It is not that only that caste people or that community people will vote for a particular representation. This unity of Bharat, that you come from whichever community, whichever caste, if a constituency is reserved, everyone will elect their representative from that community, those who are contesting the election. So that person becomes the representative of the entire constituency, not of a particular caste. The rejection of Dr. Ambedkar, which is popularly called Pune Pact, the implication of it, had the British succeeded, because the British were all out. The Government of India Act 1935, they could have introduced that, and that seed would have given the political environment post-independence, would have created havoc in this country. We have yet to appreciate what he did for the unity of this country. When Muslim League in 1940 passed their Lahore Declaration that made it clear that they will settle nothing short of Pakistan, many people thought that, well, it is a political statement given a Muslim League, it would not happen. But Dr. Ambedkar was a realist. He understood, he could see where it was leading to. Mahatma Gandhi, a great person who understood this country perhaps better than many others, he believed that with persuasion, with love, with affection, this can be avoided, this could be averted. But Dr. Ambedkar, at that time, when the League passed the resolution, he wrote the book, his thoughts on Pakistan. Pakistan or Partition of India. A comprehensive book. I urge many of those who have not read it, please read it. He was a realist. He started saying that, look, when a problem is there, you don't wish it away. Don't close your eyes. You confront the problem. Because if you see the problem, you can deal with the problem in a much better, much more effective way. You can devise a strategy to deal with it. Not simply wishing it away as if it will not happen, that is going to create a problem. He, in his book, Pakistan or Partition of India, years before partition happened, he made out a case right from how somehow the Muslim League had vitiated the environment, and how right from 1920 he started quoting when the first genocide happened in North Kerala. There were over 10,000 people who were killed and over 100,000 people were displaced, made refugee. For what? Because in Turkey, caliphate was abolished. Now, abolition of caliphate in Turkey creates such a havoc in this country that over 10,000 people have been killed and over 100,000 people displaced. And from then he says, look, this is a far more serious problem, Mr. Gandhi, than you were imagining. Be realist. Accept the problem and deal with it. Best possible manner. I think had that advice been taken, partition would have been either avoided or less gruesome. Because over 500,000 people died and several million people were rendered homeless. Because other leaders lived in an utopia with the hope till the last moment that no, it could be. Without Dr. Ambedkar getting, you understand the problem first. Because if you close your eyes to the problem doesn't go away. Now come to Pakistan creation, there is Jammu and Kashmir. On Jammu and Kashmir, Dr. Ambedkar was one person who was very, very strongly opposed to the then Prime Minister, the very idea of of being ambivalent on Jammu and Kashmir. You know, he was a great jurist, Dr. Ambedkar, he was a great jurist, we all know that. So his position was that look, when partition of, when India became independent and Pakistan was created, there were two laws of the British Parliament giving the legislative validity of independence and partition. One was India Independence Act 1947. The India Independence Act 1947 declared that from the midnight of 14th August 1947, British paramountcy over India is over. That means India becomes independent and Pakistan is created. So that act gave independence to India and creation of Pakistan. Another act of British Parliament of 1947 was Government of India Act 1935 as amended in 1947. Now this act made it clear that all the princely estates, those who were under the British suzerainty, these estates had options because after the lapse of British paramountcy, they had all become independent. There was no British suzerainty. So they had option either to remain independent or to join either India or Pakistan. And to join India and Pakistan was the decision of the ruler of that state. It was for the ruler to take a call whether the ruler wants to keep the country independent or to join either India or Pakistan. And that is how all these newly independent countries, they chose to merge with India. When Jammu and Kashmir came, Maharaja of Jammu and Kashmir, who was the ruler, he also signed the instrument of accession, and it was accepted by the government of India, then the Governor General. So it became a part of India. But it happened in circumstances where Pakistan had already moved their troops and tried to capture by force. Remember, at that point of time, Commander-in-Chief of both the armies were the British, and the Governor General of India was also a British. They had moved in and taken over a large part of Jammu and Kashmir. And when Maharaja of Jammu and Kashmir sought Indian help, then Governor General Mountbatten said, no, you cannot send, because Jammu and Kashmir was a foreign country. They had not yet signed the instrument of accession. But after they signed the instrument of accession and the troops were sent, and our troops started pushing Pakistani troops and liberating Jammu and Kashmir, then again the British came and they stopped. Said, no, don't go because we'll go to UN. First of all, our then Prime Minister was told that, look, how can a Muslim majority state you can keep in India? This is not right. A new concept they introduced. When the laws were very clear that it was for the ruler to decide whether to be with India or Pakistan, where was the concept of which community is there? But somehow the then leadership of the country chose to go to the United Nations. Dr. Ambedkar was dead against it. He says, look, you are creating big problem for the future of this country. There is absolutely no provision in law and even in political jurisprudence to a state which has come to you through a proper process. You are introducing a concept and you are making it far more complex for the future generations of this country. Somehow it was not horror. And we continue facing the problem of Jammu and Kashmir even today. Fortunately, now the decisive action has been taken, and it will, with this comprehensive surgery, the problem should be over. Though we know that there are people, the country which have taken to Pakistan will keep creating the noise. Now, I'm talking about Dr. Bhimrao Ambedkar's contribution. We talk about Constitution, but look at about when it comes to the social front, for the rights of the depressed and downtrodden, for the women, when it came to unity of India, rejecting the communal award for a separate electorate, the design of the British, they wanted to create another Jinnah in him. When it came to Pakistan, partition of this country several years before, he wanted. And if you read the book, Partition, Pakistan or Partition of India, you see how foresighted this great man was. He could visualize what was going to happen. The wisdom lies in being prepared. Then you have a crisis ahead. Not to be taken by surprise, or not to just keeping it, wishing it away. But when it came to Jammu and Kashmir, again, how his contribution to this country has been enormous. And unfortunately, we have just made him a big leader, and we have started playing politics in his name, rather than accepting this great man and his great work and going deep. I only hope that we have some of our universities, we have Dr. Ambedkar Center and his chair and all that. We should be able to do those studies, we should be able to undertake those studies and go deep into his work, what he did for this country. And when he was and how he was, unfortunately, he was treated very unfairly. In fact, the first election, 1952, when he contested the election, who defeated him? And how that situation was conspired to defeat him? I think Narayan Kanzarukar was his PA. They propped up his PA and organized the whole in such a way to defeat him. And what was this? The argument, again, the British policy of divide and rule. The argument in the election campaign was, look at this, how painful it is, that Dr. Ambedkar was only favoring his community among the scheduled castes, Mahars. Very unfair argument, very painful campaign that was made against him. And that is how he was defeated by a margin of about just about 15,000 votes. But I think Dr. Ambedkar deserved a much better and honorable position towards that after the adoption of Constitution. He could have been treated with far greater respect. And even though these earlier thoughts were ignored, his wisdom, his thoughts would have been accepted, would have been honored, could have been studied, that would have been perhaps the more appropriate way. And finally, he was a sad person. He was a sad person. And even when he revolted against the caste system, he revolted. In fact, his book is Annihilation of Caste System, which he wrote. Again, it's a wonderful book. I think we should read that book. How he said this caste system was going to destroy this. It had destroyed, and it will further destroy the society. And even when he revolted with all the frustration that he felt, and he said, I am going to renounce this Hinduism, and he embraced Buddhism, he chose and Indic faith. It did not go for non-Indic faith. Because we all know that Buddhism in this country arose as a revolt, internal revolt, reformation revolt. Jainism started only also as a revolt, because initially, in the earlier period, after the Vedic period and all that, when all this rigid orthodox kant had pervaded the society, then people started claiming position by birth rather than through the merit. And that had created a huge distortion. And a lot of, out of this, Then I suggested to Anand, I think this is not acceptable, we must. And we must do it before the next occasion comes to commemorate him. And that is how we are here today. We assembled here today, we have unveiled. Now we believe that the Raj Bhavan is, in many ways now, is complete. Thank you all for taking interest in it, and I would urge people from the academia, the students, to continue this study on more than beyond commemorating him. We must also celebrate his wisdom, his contribution to deeper academic research.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. Now I request the Deputy Secretary to Governing Universities to propose a word of thanks.
We are Indians, firstly and lastly. I would like to recall the saying of Baba Sahib Dr. Ambedkar, the father of our Indian Constitution. The great social reformer emphasized on the education as our only tool to build an egalitarian society and to break the age-old restrictive shackles of discrimination in social practices. On behalf of everyone here, I express my profound gratitude and thanks to our Honorable Governor Sir for the direction and guidance on unveiling the statue of the great leader in Raj Bhavan and for ever inspiring, vibrant speech. I sincerely thank our respected Madam Governor for gracing the occasion. I thank our Chief Guest, Honorable Union Minister of State for Information and Broadcasting, Fisheries, Animal Husbandry and Dairying for gracing the occasion and addressing the gathering with a dynamic speech. We extend our heartfelt gratitude to Honorable Minister Adi Dravida Welfare, Government of Tamil Nadu for gracing this memorable occasion. It is indeed my pleasure to extend my thanks to respected Chief Secretary Sir, who has honored this occasion with valuable presence. I extend my sincere thanks to respected Principal Secretary Sir for the guidance and meticulous care in every event.
उच्चल जलति तरंगा तव शुभ नामे जागे तव शुभ आशीष मागे गाहे तव जय गाथा जन गण मंगलदायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता जय हे जय हे
Enjoy your lunch, which is soda. I request the interns to get out to the banquet hall and enjoy one of the lunch which has been organized on the number. Thank you all.